We're live. Hi, everybody. It's Harris Fellman and
Tellman Knudsen, and Harris is a magician.
Oh, my shirt says so. Yeah, this old thing.
That's right.
I'm going to show you guys a little. I heard beauty is big here. I'm going to show you guys how to look years younger. Ooh, this is really weird because it's backwards.
Wow, so weird.
Look at that.
Wow.
I can't figure it out.
I like gray hair. I think gray hair signifies wisdom.
It also signifies age.
Age. That's right. That's great.
The ladies don't like gray hair.
I disagree. I think it depends on the lady. I've had a different experience with that.
I know some guys that have been kind of gray from younger, and they look really, silver fox, really good. Yeah. Kirk, I'm talking to you. Anyway, how you doing, man? How you doing? Let's talk about something that's valuable to people. You called the show Momentum, but I did want to mention, like yesterday, we kind of ended the show and we kind of talked about what we're going to be focusing on, like together as a business. I thought maybe we should start there. Like, why don't we tell people, and I think we should do that, some version of that every show and give some value and then see where it all goes. And that's my thought.
Well, kick it off. Like, what do you have in mind?
Well, no, I just want to say, we Tellman and I have had a lot of success doing interview series or virtual summits. Tellman calls them virtual summits. I like to call them interview series simply because we're both right and simple. A virtual summit, a lot of people know, is like, you have a summit, lots of people that you interview or that do speeches or present on webinars. And usually you think of a virtual summit as being compact and in one day. The reason I like to call it an interview series, which is kind of like a talk show, is because I like to put it out over like one focused webinar or interview per week. And so does he, so does Tellman. And that's really what we want to teach people how to do, is to make pretty much a weekly talk show, a weekly profitable talk show. But there's a lot more to it than just that. But that's pretty much, it's not actually a lot more to it than that. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. And it's super powerful, super successful. And the way we teach people to do it is to leverage the collaboration of all of the people that you're interviewing, and using that to build a hyper engaged audience, and then presenting great quality content to them. And there's ways of making money doing that, and there's also ways of that also, most importantly, helps you build a huge responsive audience.
It does. And this idea, well, so the interview, or the golden interview, is kind of at the core of all of this. And part of it has to do with I think it has to do with genuine curiosity on the host's part, right? On the person conducting the interview, on the person asking the questions, whether this is a podcast, whether it's a television talk show, whether it's a radio show, whether, whatever it is, whether you're talking about a YouTube channel, whether you're doing Facebook live streams, whether it's a show on TikTok, if there's an interview component, if there's two people exchanging knowledge, having an interaction, in most cases, that's a little bit more interesting for the viewer, but not always. If you're trying to find your voice, to get your confidence underneath you, to really kind of know where you're at with the content that you're creating out there, doing interviews is, I found, to be the most powerful way to really get up to speed, and even on the edge in your marketplace, by interviewing all the people who are the thought leaders in that space right now, who are active and are kind of like doing the most innovative work. Interviewing them, asking them questions, you learn a lot. And if you're actually interested in someone else and actually interested in what they're thinking about, what they're working on, and you listen to them when they respond, you develop a relationship live on camera in the interview, and people appreciate that. the person being interviewed appreciates it. They appreciate your presence, you being there, you like actually paying attention, actually listening. And then the people watching the interviews appreciate that, right? It's just, the degree to which you can be present and interested and curious and interactive and genuine with your questions, it's so good. So whether you're creating content, whether it's a frequent video, whether it's a one person thing and you're interviewing yourself and you're spewing information, or whether it's a back and forth, webinars I've found without a shadow of a doubt, for the time being, and for quite a while, are the best platform for doing interviews that sell stuff in most cases, right? Webinars are a really wonderful medium that you can learn and master, and a great sales tool. So we're going to be talking a lot about interviews. We're going to be talking about how to partner up with, how to get involved with other experts in your area and build a real business, a real audience, or grow your existing business, grow your existing audience through doing a highly lucrative and highly valuable interview series or virtual summit.
Yeah, you started off talking about the idea that, having a natural curiosity about the topic. Like, I remember, when I first started doing them, I genuinely had an interest and curiosity in, all things internet marketing. So I'm like, hey, why don't I interview 12 different areas, experts in different areas of internet marketing, whether it was SEO or paid ads or copywriting or whatever. I can drop names too, like you did yesterday, Gary Halbert and Jay Conrad Levinson. These are people that I interviewed in my very first interview series. People are accessible, but the point is that I later realized that I accidentally positioned myself as a future expert in that industry as well. Not necessarily because I all of a sudden knew so much, which was part of it. I did actually gain a lot of knowledge and wisdom from, interviewing people that had the knowledge and wisdom. That's like the best way to get it, because if you have a question, you can ask them. But then also just the general perception of, being adjacent to people that know what the heck they're talking about a certain thing gives you kind of automatic authority as well. So I think it's important to know that that's a side effect, a positive side effect of it. And at the same time, you can't do it because, oh, I want to become a known expert. It has to be genuine. Yeah, well, maybe.
Maybe
it doesn't have to be genuine.
I mean, I also did it by accident, kind of. But when I realized what was going on, I doubled down on it because it was cool, right? So I don't know, like, if you want to be an expert, if you want to be an authority, if you want to be a leading figure and a well-known person in your market, in your niche, in your field, and you're more well-known than you are right now, if you're a total nobody in the space, cool. And if you already got some traction, cool. But like, if you publicly interview the top 100 people in your market, okay, you will instantly be known by the vast majority of the people who are active in your marketplace on the channels that you're publishing those interviews. Yeah. Okay, and that's the topic of today's episode, is just momentum. I found that when I did my first interview series, my first virtual summit, way back in the day with List Crusade, that I launched List Crusade. It was my first real successful thing online. I started making money. I started going to conferences because I was like, in rural Vermont, nobody even had a computer in rural Vermont. I mean, obviously people had computers, but nobody was doing internet marketing, like at all, in the early 2000s, right? Nobody. And so I had to go to conferences just to like start meeting people. And so I took the money that I earned from the interview series and within a year I was hitting conferences. And what I was told is, holy crap, Tellman, like, you're everywhere. You're everywhere I look. Everybody's promoting you. Everybody's talking about you all the time. What the heck? And so there were a few factors at play. And it wasn't just doing an interview series, but that was a huge one. One is that I was in my 20s. I was not married. And I had just, during this time period, I had just found out that I was going to be a father, and that my girlfriend at the time and I were having our first child. And this doesn't happen for everyone, but for me, that really lit a fire under my ass. Like, I found a type of hyper focus that I had never tapped into for a lengthy period of time before, when I found out we were going to have a kid. And so, like, I was on it, like 18 hours a day, whether I liked it or not. I dream about marketing. I'd wake up in the morning full of energy. I was just boom, boom. Yeah, it's an unstoppable force. And so,
me too. It's interesting. It's surprising for you to say it doesn't happen for everyone, because, if it happened for you, like, I'm like, oh, totally, that happened for me when my kids were coming. Yeah.
I mean, having kids, especially the first one, right? Very much it activates a lot of the same. For me, it activated a lot of the same. It still activates a lot of the same things that crises do. Like, oh, I'm gonna have a kid. I don't know what the heck's going on. I don't know what to do. I don't have any experience with this. Like, adrenaline's on. Like, boom. It's kind of it's a high stress situation. I love those situations. Like, that's where I operate at my ideal. And so, I happened to come across this idea. I want to add, after, like, really starting and ultimately failing at a dozen different businesses. Okay. Like, I started my first business when I was 19 at my dorm room in college. It was Tellman Salsa. And
still a little bit left in there. Still working on it.
Yeah, it's just a pen jar now. And I still have pens, Harris, that you write with.
Yeah. I have 100 that I just packed because I'm moving. Yeah. Although,
but the momentum, there are a lot of factors. But when you decide you're gonna do a whole bunch of interviews in a compressed amount of time, what ends up, and you have a solid promotional strategy behind that, so that all of the people that you're interviewing are also promoting your interviews. What ends up happening is, like, think about what would happen if you interviewed the top 100 people in your market in 90 days. That's not actually what we're suggesting you do, but, like, just to, like, amp this up a little bit. Imagine interviewing the top 100 people in your market in 100 days, and imagine if all of them gave you a solid promotion on their number one platform that they reach their audience. Like, how much would you be known in that marketplace in that amount of time? It would completely change the game. So that's the kind of
I like how you changed it from 90 days to 100, as if that was so much less difficult.
Yeah.
More palatable. You could do one a day. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, one a day. A lot of people do things like, I'm going to do something one a day for the next 100 days or for the whole year or something like that. You could do short interviews. I think you
know what that's called when you do something for 100 days. It's called a gong.
A gong.
A gong.
Like a gong.
I think it's spelled the same way as the gong. Yeah.
Go on.
So, point is, if you want some momentum, if you want to get known in your marketplace, if you want the recognition and the quote unquote celebrity and fame, or at least a jump start toward it, this is super helpful. But Harris, as you pointed out, when you interview a bunch of people in your market or niche, and you're asking curious, genuine questions about what they do and how they do it and how it helps and how it works and who it's for and how it was created and how did they come up with it and how old is it and how many people have they helped with it, and all the intricacies of whatever it is that they're promoting or selling, and you're learning about these things, what you're doing is you're asking the questions that your audience has in their minds, and then you're verbalizing them. So suddenly you, the host, are actually verbalizing the questions that your audience has. And when this occurs, not only is there authority, which you mentioned earlier, Harris, but I think maybe even more important than authority is deep rapport and trust is created. Because what the members of your audience feel like is that you're just like them, and they can trust you because you're on the same page. You're not being arrogant. You're not holding yourself above them. You're not trying to be all snooty. You're not trying to be the smartest person on the block. You're just trying to have a cool conversation and learn more about this stuff that the person you're interviewing is working on. They're like their life's work, and that's awesome. So, but here's the thing. Here's the thing that, like, I know this is like the classic direct response takeaway, but it genuinely isn't for everybody. What I've found is, as we've taught people how to live stream in order to both create content and drive traffic on all the different platforms, from Facebook to Twitter to TikTok and LinkedIn and YouTube and all the things, whether you're out there creating content on a regular basis, whether you're using it to drive traffic, if you don't enjoy talking to people, if you don't have a deep natural sense of curiosity, if you aren't the type of person to ask too many questions in class, there's a very good chance you might struggle with being a good interviewer. Anybody can become a good interviewer. I mean, I think anybody can become anything they want. But if one of the biggest things about interviewing people is that, like so many things, you know what? Speaking from stage, Harris, for example, I learned how to speak from stage. I got several different training. I did a bunch of training with John Childers back in the day. Childers Chunks. I still have his CD set. Rocks. Learned how to speak and sell from stage. I did a bunch of stuff with Dave Van Hoos. I went to his offices in Florida. Learned his whole public speaking, stage selling model, and invented the wealth method in order to create an offer to speak from stage. Yeah.
Let's talk about that tomorrow. We're over 15 minutes already. You want to talk selling from stage, or unless you want to connect it? I don't mean to cut you off.
What I was going to say is that, like, I don't like it. I don't get energy from going and speaking like for 90 minutes or 60 minutes from stage in front of a big audience and then selling something. Like, it's cool to make a bunch of money when that works out, but like, I don't get fueled up. I don't get juiced from going and speaking from stage. I don't even get juiced doing a webinar.
Okay.
What I do get excited about is conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
And the interaction. So
I like being. I don't mind being the center of attention. I like being on stage. I don't like selling from stage, because when I'm on, and by the way, I learned this before I became a magician and before I started performing more. I like being on stage. I like entertaining. I like educating. Whatever. I like getting that connection and getting the information out, getting the comedy out, whatever it is, and that I want that to be enough. So. But I don't know, like, there's a structure with interviewing that's very different. You're introducing somebody to your audience, you're introducing somebody to another audience, you're getting to know this person, and through that they're getting to know you. I agree with you. I think that there is a really big difference. I haven't really thought about that, but I'm sorry to cut you off. But we have a lot of work to do. Speaking of momentum,
we have a crap load of work to do. Yeah, we've decided to start squeezing in a regular show, in addition to everything else we've been building. So, we are going to jump, and we're going to be back. What you're getting right now is kind of the early stages. We're working out a new talk show. We're working on a new show, kind of in real time with you, and you're getting to see us practice. So We have some very exciting stuff coming up here in the next few days around audience building. And if you want to build a large, responsive, profitable audience in almost any market or niche for your existing business or a new business, and you like to talk, then type "talk to me" in the comments below and shoot either Harris or I a direct message on whatever platform you're watching this on, and we will get you a sneak peek of what's going on and let you see what we've got working on around audience building before we release it to the public. So just type, what did I say? Talk to me?
Talk to me.
Talk to me in the comments below if you want more info, and shoot us a direct message. We'll personally get back to you and let you know what the next steps are if you want to get in on this action. So I guess that is it for now. Thank you all for being here. Share this video if you liked it. And please, if you have comments about audience building, email marketing, interview series, webinars, direct response marketing, magic, hypnosis, Tellman or Fellman, ask them in the comments below. We'll answer them tomorrow.
All right. See you guys.
Over and out.